I think the whole idea was to demonstrate a few things. One was that we could create a world-class school that was research-oriented, and many of the other institutions weren't. That world-class would mean everything world-class faculty, world-class students, world-class facilities, world-class placement, you can go on and on. And that we would set an example in terms of truly creating a research culture.
To me, ISB is more than just a place I worked. It's my home in many ways. So it's always given me a huge emotional high when I come back. And what's fascinating is that every time I come back, there's something new. And that is something is the ethos of ISB. We don't rest on our laurels. So yes, every time, and I must say I'm very, very impressed by what I see here. Actually, Egon Zehnder approached me, and I had come back to India from Hong Kong saying, I'm not going to work, I'm going to do things that I enjoy doing. And they said, we found this perfect job for you. And I said, I'm not interested in the job, for God's sake. They said, just go and see. Go to Hyderabad, what's your problem? See this place. And I had heard a little about ISB, so I came out of curiosity. And I fell in love. That's all it was. I fell in love with this idea of building something world-class, that too not in Mumbai or Delhi, but in Hyderabad. Right? So, and the whole vision of having something of that quality supported by so many things. So I said, no, I can't let this fail. I have to do my little bit, whatever it is.
See, so I was a director at IIM Bangalore, 97 to 2002. About 2001 or so, one of the professors I know, who was Bala Balachandran actually, who started Great Lakes, he called me up. He said, there's a position, Dean's position. He said, there's a position, would you be interested? I said, okay, fine, I completed this. I vividly recall Savita Mahajan showed me around this main building and so on. So then I said, it all looks very good. So now all that you need is some faculty members, I said. Little did I realize that a few years later, that was my mandate was to get some faculty members, because at that time there were very few permanent faculty. And no, I looked at the vision statement to do cutting edge research. That was one of the main reasons that attracted me to ISB. I always thought that we could build institutions in India which are also research focused. They don't have to be only abroad. And I always believe in a new institution, if you establish the culture, then it is easier. Whereas in old institution, the problem is the culture, changing the culture of the place takes time and difficult. In fact, one of my professors from Carnegie Mellon told me, if you want to change anything in university, it's better to start a new university.
So I was actually at Wharton doing a research seminar. And Dave introduced me to the academic audience and said, Raj, I apologize, I would have stayed here for your presentation, but I have to go to a meeting for this new school that's coming up, the Indian School of Business. So I said, can I come to the meeting? He said, well, if you have nothing to do in the afternoon, you can join us. So I went to that meeting, and that's where I met some people. I remember meeting Jitendra Singh, etc. Fast forward, we are now in 2014, 2015. ISB had been looking for a new dean at that point in time. And it's thanks to Pramod Sinha, whom I had gotten to meet back in 2001, that I did a quick interview. And the moment I received the offer, I did not even read things line by line. It was an offer from Adi. I took it.
And this was really a startup, right? Today we talk about the startups. At that time, we had a great idea, no money, bleeding, no infrastructure worth speaking about, at least human infrastructure, no faculty, right? So, and no reputation whatsoever. In fact, we were seen as a school of rich kids doing a mini one-year MBA. So we had to overcome all those. And that was a journey. So we had to do a lot of establishment. We had to go and talk to students everywhere. We went and talked to even school students here. We went and talked to women's colleges. We went and talked to, every possible city to explain to them what ISB was. And that whole journey, at the same time, we had to do what startups are now being told to do, which is to scale up fast, at the same time reduce costs and be self-sustaining.
The big challenge, my mandate was that I should hire a lot of good faculty. So hiring faculty, because the model ISB wanted to follow was roughly about 50-60% of the teaching to be done by permanent faculty. We still have visiting faculty, maybe 30-40% and so on. But there were hardly any faculty when I joined, because there were 4 faculty, I think, 4 or 5 when I joined. So my mandate was to hire a lot of faculty. So I didn't want to hire people just for the sake of hiring, and I don't want the ISB to get the name that the ISB hires and fires and so on, because you want people who have a reasonably good chance of getting tenure. And those people have other alternatives, and that was a problem. So mostly we were able to attract a younger faculty, but slowly and steadily we got more and more younger faculty, but we could not really attract senior faculty because they were well set in abroad, and they would come and teach and visiting kind of thing for a month or 2 months and so on, but not more. So getting faculty was a challenge.
What I was not aware at that time was that the challenges that we were facing. Okay, there were several challenges. One is that because of the perception of the market and already our cost structure, and therefore the fee structure was higher than the Indian Institutes of Management, we had been very conservative and not raising any fees. So if you hold revenue constant and you have 6, 7, 8% inflation, through 2011, 2012, and so on. So if your fee structure is constant and inflation is creeping up, it is not surprising that our margins had turned from positive to negative.
And the first and the most important thing was to have those students placed in good institutions. And this is where the board came to help. Rajat Gupta, Ambani, Analjit Singh, everyone played their part and role in finding jobs for these students. Then the next lot was, because that news had gone out, how do we get a newer lot of people to come? So again, we had to go out, explain to people the advantages. Of course, we had some great things. We had some amazing world-class faculty coming and teaching. So that was a real powerful magnet. And it was also at that time extremely affordable compared to the US. And it was backed by who's who of Indian industry. So we had some good things for us. But it was that's why we had to increase numbers. Increasing numbers, it's not like increasing capacity in a factory. Because these people have to be placed, they have to be placed in good jobs, otherwise we take them. But at the same time, if we didn't have large numbers, we would not create the impact that we have created today. So there were many conflicting things. At the same time, we had to build a culture of the school, we had to build a certain ethos, we had to make sure that the visiting faculty kept coming back and didn't come just for 1 year, etc., etc. So yeah, I have to say that it was an interesting time. We dealt with many issues, but I think we managed.
See, many institutions don't do this performance evaluation also. So performance evaluation played emphasis on research. So research and what they are doing, publication. And publications usually take time. So working papers are also important. And so that is one thing that I introduced. It was hardly there before that because nobody was really there to do performance evaluation. And then giving funding for research, funding to travel abroad, and having conferences here and inviting people from abroad So we facilitated by doing lots of things like these things, and I think that probably set the tone.
So the process had to be changed, and so one is, we had to strengthen the mission. What it brought us was immediate cash infusion, which we were then able to inject into services, admissions, placement, but also into hiring faculty. So one of the things that we did was to really energize and change the process for recruiting and be more ambitious. And what we were able to do, and people like Professor Milan Soni, played a very significant part in this thing. We were able to go from about 40 faculty when I joined to 70 faculty. That's a growth of 75%, and very significant growth. The last batch that we admitted under my deanship, which was large number, 930 odd people, that was 40% women. So that is the significance of ISB. It's size, but it's also diversity. It's also the capabilities. And recently we have seen how well the early batches, the most senior people have done, because these were risk-taking people coming to ISB. And many of the unicorns, I believe it is as many as 11 unicorns, have ISB co-founders. So that is the true achievement. It is not getting jobs, which we do very well. It is creating jobs. And that is what our alums are very good at doing. I do not know a single institution globally where as many of the alumni have gone into starting businesses, creating jobs, and growing the brand, not only in India, but across the world.
All of these were inputs. I think the ultimate thing that I'm really, really, really proud of is the performance of my alumni. If the alumni had not succeeded, all this was a complete waste. The fact that the alumni are doing so well, and it's not just these 11 unicorns. Yes, I'm very happy and proud with them, but they have done well in academia. They have done well in industry. They have done well in social sector. They have done well in government even. And of course, the startup community. So I think that every day even today, when I read about the alumni success, I feel all that hard work I think was worth it.